I'd like to welcome everybody this evening. Do we have any public comments? No public comments? Okay. Then let's move forward and go to the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from our previous meeting, our appropriations, and we do not have any Lake Cabin transfers tonight. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay, Sharon, second?
Second.
Okay, Jason, moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Being no new old business, we'll go on to new business, and we'll start with lighted structures. James?
Good evening, Mayor.
Hi.
Good evening, council members. The first structure up tonight is 150 South 8th. Okay. And so on 150 South 8th, back in December 8th, I inspected it and took some photos of it, and the Lighted Structures Committee selected this as a dangerous structure. I've mailed out a notice to the owner, who is Jose Gonzalez Meza. It's a house and a garage. Do we have the photos of
No,
that?
they were PDFs, so I can get them on the
Okay.
slides.
So anyway, there's a large hole. It was on the agenda.
It's on the.
It's on the-
Yeah, we've got it here.
Okay, so there is a large hole in the roof and stuff, and from what I understand, it has a basement, so it's been getting water in it for quite a few years now. The garage itself is leaning. I went around, I can view it from the alley there. The seal plates are all rotted out on it and stuff. I came in this afternoon and I found a demolition permit on my desk for this structure. So 45 days to tear this structure down once I've authorized this permit. I don't know how the council wants to proceed. I was going to ask for a resolution on this here to have a hearing on this structure, but if he's going to go ahead and demo this here, I don't know that we need to go that route yet.
Now, since usually we don't do a resolution if they are,
Yeah, give
I
us
mean, he's
45
Give him
going
his
to take
45
some
days.
action on this here and stuff, so.
Give us 45 days, and if he needs an extension, he'll have to come in and request one.
Right.
does that sound okay to you, Bill?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay.
The next structure is 421 Hay Street.
Bill, do we need to make a motion on that to allow in 45 days?
Well, is that contained within the permit, James?
Yeah, it's in the permit. The 45 days is in the permit, and I can always bring it back to the council and ask for a resolution later on.
As long as he's got the authority to issue the permit specifies it, I don't.
As a rule, when people come in with demolition permits, we don't approve them if they move forward with them. Little different situation.
Yeah. Okay, so I received complaints about this structure back in September, first part of September, and I went and inspected and took photos of it, and got back to the office and looked at the photos, and the supports for the porch have all rotted away and are falling down. It's just the one-by porch boards up there, just, I don't even know what's holding it together, really. And then I noticed in the photos also there's a rock, steps that are cracked and broken, and the handrails are laying off to the side, no guardrail. And I also noticed from the photos that there was broken windows in the structure, allowing animals and people possibly to enter this structure. So I sent out notices on this here, and then I was contacted by Crystal, forgive me for that. Reached out to me. She's a realtor, and the house is up for sale. And I explained to her that the owner has to sign a notarized statement that they're aware of the violations, that they received a copy of it and will comply with it. And I also received an email from the person who plans to purchase the property also. And he's here also tonight. So I don't know if y'all have any questions, if they want to address the council.
No, we did get the house listed at the end of January. It was like January 31st. We started the listing on February 1st. And then we did get an executed contract on the 8th, and we will close on or before March 4th. And the buyer is here as well, and
Yeah, it's our intention to repair everything on the house.
Have you signed has he signed the notarized and had this
We've
statement
initialed-
notarized
We've initialed the statement, and at closing it will be notarized and signed.
at closing? Okay.
And we did include it in our contract that they were aware of the porch, the railings, the steps, and the windows, which were the things that were cited.
And what's our timeline, James? How long do they have at closing to get the things fixed that we asked them to fix?
So, I was gonna ask for a resolution to set a hearing date, okay, and there's a process in that, all right. I'm gonna have to do a title search on it, and a resolution has to be drawn up. Then the resolution is published in the newspaper twice, 1 week apart. I mail out a certified letter to the owner also in that meantime. And then after the last publication, there's 30 days has to elapse before the hearing can start on it. And it's a show cause hearing as to why the structure should either not be repaired or demoed. And then a date is set from that date for action to be taken on it.
I guess, do we need to do that whole process?
No, we do not have to do that whole process.
I don't
If we
know,
want
I
to give
guess-
this new owner time to do the
Yeah, I think
closing
that'd be-
and get started
I think
on it,
that'd
and
be
get
the best.
permits and stuff, because it does require permits for that also.
Yeah, I think that would be the best, after closing, give them 60 days or whatever to get.
Yeah, work out a timeline with the new
Yeah.
owner.
Do you have a timeline, sir, in mind?
I can have those things done within 60 days.
Okay.
So-
Now, have you been in the dwellings? Have you been in?
Are you moving the?
No, ma'am, I have not been in the dwelling. I've only viewed the dwelling from the street and from the alley.
Okay, so my question would be this. I know that you guys are saying those exact things that James said is what you're planning to repair. But does it need to be further inspected to make sure that it's okay other than that? Or are we okay just with you just mentioned the rails, the steps, the windows, and the porch
And the porch.
columns?
Yeah, now if they were to pull permits to do electrical, HVAC, plumbing and all that, James would have to inspect all that.
Okay.
If they pull permits.
But as far as we're concerned, our coverage just covers what you can visually see from the outside.
Right.
correct?
at this moment.
I just want to clarify that,
Yeah.
because it's probably going to happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah, so if they come in and want to do update electrical, do HVAC, plumbing and all that, there's permits and
Right.
and James would be able to inspect.
So like if there's a hole in the living room floor from where the window's been broken, we don't know that, it doesn't matter.
Right,
Okay, that's my question, I'm just, trying to clarify.
Yeah.
I want to clarify before we
Yep.
go forward. Okay, okay. So really, we don't need to do anything
yeah, I
other
just
than
think we
wait.
need to figure, once he gets the closing done, get back in contact with James and, he said 60 days from the closing, I think is a fair estimate. If he needs more time, he can come back and request that.
But it can't be closed until we've got the notarized.
Well, March 4th, is, as you say, March 4th, sir?
Yeah, it's gonna be on or before March 4th.
4th, so yeah, I think, just say from March 4th, he has 60 days. And then if he doesn't have it done in 60 days, he can come back and request an
The
extension.
resolution. at that
Yeah.
time.
Okay, but does our ordinance say that they have to sign that prior to closing? That notarized statement that they recognize what's going
No,
on?
No.
No, what it says is it's unlawful to transfer the property
That's my question.
by the owner.
Okay, from the owner, all right.
Okay, without the new buyer signing this here, it would be unlawful
Okay.
for the
But
owner.
we don't
The
need
owner would
proof of
still
that.
be
That's-
held responsible
The owner is
for
on the,
that.
okay, very good. I just want to make sure our bases are covered, but that would be on the owner then.
So are you guys good with March 4th and the 60 days, and then follow up after that?
Yep.
And I don't believe we need to, there's nothing in an ordinance, so I don't believe we need to vote on that, so. Okay,
So 60 days,
Yes.
May 4th.
March. Yeah, May 4th.
May
Let's
4th.
see what you did there.
May the 4th.
Complete on the repairs and stuff. Okay.
And just like any other deal, if something happens or weather or whatever, they can always come back and
Mhm.
request more time.
Oh, yeah.
And at any time, we can ask whether that document was signed before closing, I assume.
Oh, yes, I'll make sure.
I'm not questioning that it's going to get signed, I'm just asking
Yeah,
if the
so-
question
yeah,
comes up.
James should get a copy
Okay.
of that, because she just mentioned it was noted in the.
In the contract, so, yeah, it should be covered. Okay, thank you. I just want to cross all this in case it comes
Y'all have a
up.
good evening.
Yeah, you too, thank you,
James.
James. Okay, moving on, Economic Development Committee recommendation-based grant application.
Y'all
Okay,
have a good evening. Thank you.
You're on. You're on.
okay. I might give you a little opening here. Well, the Economic Development Committee has been working hard on, particularly on housing and a few other things. And Christy has been meeting with us, and she's on our committee now. And so we started talking the other day about some of the availabilities of monies that are available. And there is a grant called the BASE
Grant, yep.
grant, BASE grant, okay, that will be due, the application is due by the end of the month. So Nick and I and Angie Shortfigure, who's the committee chairman, we visited with Christy and gave her permission to go forward to try to get this grant because we don't have a lot of time. And so we're going to go out and she's going to kind of tell you what we're asking for this grant.
The webinar on it opened up, was sent out on the 3rd. The grant is due by the 28th. It's a short window grant, so if you don't have shovel-ready projects, you can't apply for it. And we have a couple that would qualify, which we have the engineering and stuff done on. So.
We have short turnaround here, so, you know, we want to be sure and get in line for those funds. Okay, go ahead, Christy. You can stand up here if you want or wherever you want.
This is good. I think we're distanced in that way.
Okay.
So I put my mask on.
That's good.
I'm not affecting everybody else. Thank you for your time. This is an interesting program. It's funded through SPARK funds, relief money that's passed directly from the Department of Treasury to the state of Kansas. In Kansas, there's a committee that's identified what to do with those funds, and one of the programs that they've, there's a number of them. We've had a lot of folks in Council Grove apply for HEAL money for building projects, with historic preservation. But this funding program is called BASE. It's really focused on infrastructure, housing, community needs, getting some of the basic work that needs to happen in order to encourage economic development in your community. Obviously, in Council Grove, we've identified a serious housing need. We've been discussing this in the Economic Development Committee quite often, and one of the things that we realized in our last, I guess it was the meeting before last, I don't know, it was the very end of January or early February. As soon as we found out about this program, I brought it up in committee. And one thing that became clear to me, and we discussed as a committee, is that, obviously the city is not going to develop housing, but we do need to establish some tools that developers will need to bring housing to the community. And so I started asking questions because I come from, a development type background, and particularly community development and real estate development, among other things. So one of the questions I asked was, well, what are the priorities that are established in the city's master plan? And I learned that we don't really have a master plan that identifies, these are areas where development should or could take place. And so that's really a tool that any developer coming in to do housing is going to want. So after the committee discussed that, we identified the possibility of a master plan as one possible eligible project for this grant. And then I met, I followed up and met with Nick and Debbie and Angie. And when I came in the door, I asked Nick, well, what else is it that the community has ready to go, that the city has that's shovel ready, that we've got plans for, that we know what the cost is, that we could include in a grant application. The word I'm getting from the director of the program at Department of Commerce is that with a small community like ours, the larger the project, the better. And so it does help to have a multifaceted project. So with the Economic Development Committee is proposing pursuing funding for a master plan. There's also some projects that Nick has identified, including some related to the amphitheater and stormwater, and he can give you more specifics on those. This particular grant program, usually when you're applying for federal money, and I know Nick's work with the USDA and other funding sources, usually it's a 50-50 match. This program requires a 25% match, so there's a lower match. So the idea is it's a new source of funding that allows you all to complete some of the priorities that you have as a community anyway, but maybe move a little quicker than you might have because this funding source is available. That's the basics. And again, I mentioned this to the mayor earlier. This is the kind of program that communities, Kansas City and Wichita, Johnson and Sedgwick County, they're going to jump all over it. They've got their projects on the shelf. They're ready to roll. No big deal that there's only a month to turn it around. It is a big deal for a rural community, and the truth is, I don't imagine that there will be a lot of smaller communities that do apply. But right now, I've been spending a few days a week in Topeka. There's a huge emphasis on rural communities. They want to help smaller communities, and if we can get this thing in, I think we've got a good shot of being funded. When they have a tight deadline like this, it limits the number of applications they get from anybody, let alone for small communities, and it allows us to better compete. With the HEAL grant applications that I worked on a bunch of them all over the state. They had an emergency round and they gave you a really short timeline to get an application in. I did 2 of those and they both got funded because it wasn't very competitive. And then when they did the regular round, they got 400 applications and it was very competitive. So there's a good shot when you have the short turnaround. It's a better match than the usual funding sources that you all would use for these projects. And Nick can probably give you a little bit more detail on the pieces of it, but there's work at the amphitheater and some stormwater projects, and he can fill you. They're probably projects that you all are familiar with anyway. Does that give you what you need to?
Yeah, I'm good. So yeah, the amphitheater, we have all the drawings and engineering and cost estimates. I've given that to Christy. She has that. Stormwater is not one of them, Christy, but it's the ball field lighting. We worked on that in 2019 when Jeff Blosser and Mark Brooks were on council. And I've contacted the company and the engineer we worked with to get updated quotes. There's been one of those to me, hopefully by the end of the week, beginning of next week, so I can give that information to Christy. And I've also talked with Farmers and Drovers Bank and the Young Foundation about helping with, or assisting or doing lease purchase on the matching funds so we don't deplete our reserve funds.
Because the projects are pretty good size, that the 25% came up, it added up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think if you do both projects, you'd be a little over $2 million.
The master plan we thought was around
100,000, yeah.
What about the properties?
I've given that information to Christy.
Okay, for housing development.
Yep,
Okay.
she has all that.
So that's another piece of it, it's the housing.
Yeah. The master plan is supposed to incorporate housing, industry, and commercial development as well. It's just a master plan of everything, not just residential.
Okay. And Nick and I preliminarily, I guess I would say, approved the fee that Christy has asked.
Yeah,
And
it was $5,000.
yeah, which is $5,000, which is quite significantly less than we would pay somebody else, but we have full confidence in her. I should say what than we would pay somebody else, but than we expected maybe. So I would like to have that motion for that and approved if possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second that.
Okay. Anybody have any conversation before we go forward?
I'm just grateful there's somebody who will write it. Thank you, Christy.
I heard the relief on the phone when I asked
Takes
for
a crazy, crazy person. Well, I mean, you all know I love the community, and this is the type of work that I've done a lot of, so I'm happy to help. And it's always worth it when you're done and you get the money.
That's right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. We're excited. Just work your little fingers to the bone there. Or your typewriter, or whatever you want to call
I'm going back to Topeka. So.
Yeah. Well, be safe.
Don't get blown off the road.
Oh, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Christie.
All right.
Thanks, Christie. See you later.
Okay, moving forward, Utilities Committee recommendation for GIS
Yeah,
mapping.
this was added late. We finally were able to set up a time for the Utilities Committee and myself to meet with Ryan Foster from BG Consultants. When he was originally here, we talked about getting a GIS platform for all of our water, sewer, stormwater runoff, because we don't have maps of a lot of it. A lot of it's in our utility department head, and we need to have it somewhere where it's accessible for everybody that needs it. So they met with us and kind of went over the key components of it. GIS mapping, I think everybody's pretty familiar with. It's just a map that's going to show you where all your sewer manholes are, where all your water meters are located, your lines and all those things, so that way you can identify areas of need and things like that. The cost, I asked them to put a not to exceed cost in there of $7,000. And then anything additional to that will be our on-call rate, I think, which is 90. If we need to have anything else added to that, or Derek needs to contact them. And then the software, what they're recommending, we just need a creator account. It's $500 a year. And if we need to add, there's different fees for different types of accounts. So
This is completely interactive. We can go in and change the location of a manhole or a water line if it's wrong on the map and we find it to be wrong. The way he kind of explained it, if we make a change, they'll have the change too, right?
Yeah, so whoever has access to the platform will have access to the changes and things like in there. And there's a window that pops up. It can tell you the location, the coordinates of it, and all those things. And then it can, if you update it, it will give you an updated stamp of when it was updated and things like that, so you know it's been updated. But once you change it, it changes it for everybody. So.
And this will be available to people who, should we have new industry come in, or
right, yeah,
city
well,
people and others as
It
well?
helps Derek.
Yeah.
Well, it helps the city in general, and it helps Derek because regardless if you don't think so, Derek's going to retire one of these days, and all that information's up in his head. It's not written down anywhere. This will help him and his guys. Instead of driving around trying to find, water valves that we haven't used in 10 years, it's going to be on the map, and they're going to know that you go to this corner and turn that valve off. And it also helps you identify stretches that are problem areas in town, kind of like what we have over there at Washington Street and that area on a map, and you can circle and say this is a problem area, we need to focus on this area.
And over the course of, years, you'll be able to see where your problem areas are that way, because it'll all be on the maps.
Okay. So, and I understand that. I mean, that's the major reason we're doing it, the main reason we're doing it. But I was just saying they will be available to people who would want to do developing or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll have it, which will be a good,
Derek,
that's another step toward
Derek
development.
provides them with that information.
Right, right.
So,
Sounds good.
all right.
Anybody have any questions?
And I would recommend that it come out of water and sewer, and then part of it come out of the street department, because stormwater runoff, water and sewer infrastructure. So split it between those three, the $7,500.
Did you say 77? Oh, because it's 500 for the first year.
Yep.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve $7,500 for BG Consultants to do the GIS mapping, which is water and sewer runoff. That includes the first year. Commit to come partially out of water and partially out of sewer. All those in favor? Okay, all opposed, motion carries 6-0. Okay, next we go into executive session. Would somebody like to make that?
How long do you need?
30 minutes is probably fine.
30 minutes?
Yeah, I think more.
Thank you, I'm sure.
I'll make a motion, we go into executive session for attorney-client privilege on the matters of the city lake to include the entire council, the mayor, and the city attorney and city administrator
Okay.
So
for
moved.
30 minutes.
So moved.
Okay, seconded? Okay. It's moved and seconded to go into executive session for 30 minutes. Client attorney privilege concerning city lake matters with attorney the administrator and all of us. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay. We'll see you all in a little bit.
I didn't know what Kay you were talking to.
You.
Madam Mayor, distinguished members of the council, I apologize. I guess I signed in on the wrong sheet when I came in tonight, but I wanted to share some things with you. We moved back here in 1994, and in the 28 years since we've been here, every week and several times a week in the local newspaper, there would be announcements of found dogs and things. And over time, we've adopted 2 of those dogs. The first one was a Samoyed, weighed 85 pounds, smartest animal I've ever been around. And the first clap of thunder, he thought he was a lap dog. Sam died, I made him a coffin, he's buried out at the farm in the front yard, and then we adopted Mikey Dog. And we named him Mikey Dog because that cereal commercial that's on television about the 2 little boys eating cereal, and they got this new cereal, and they look at their little brother and said, let Mikey try it, he'll eat anything. And that's how Mikey Dog got his name. But anyway, of the 28 years since I've been back here, 2 or 3 times a week there'd be announcements of found dogs because cruel people were dumping them here in Council Grove. Since you've appointed the new animal control officer, those announcements aren't there anymore. So I'm wondering if the city is disposing of those dogs in some way you wouldn't want the public to know about, or why is it that nobody's putting lost dogs in town anymore?
So
What's happening?
I can answer that.
Okay?
So unless the dog is sick or an aggressive dog, and the vet deems that they're dangerous, we haven't done that since I've been here, okay? We have an adoption program, so we adopt them out. Or we take them to somewhere that can get them adopted. So we don't put dogs to sleep. I've never done that since I've been here.
So we've gone from having the public be able to adopt those dogs, now you're adopting them out someplace else?
No, the public is adopting them. So
How do they know about
Well, there's announcements online and things like that about it. Okay, I mean,
The other thing is, Kay, is when a dog is found, often, very often, there's a thing called Council Grove Happenings on Facebook and Instagram.
people put the dog on.
And people will say, there's a dog on Walnut Street, and the people who own the dog go get it, most of the time.
We haven't picked up a dog, Kay. Gosh, I can't remember the last time we picked up a dog.
Since you had the new animal control officer?
No, since people post online because they know we'll pick the dog up and it's expensive to get their dog out of the vet. I mean, and if people get their dogs picked up and they have a big bill, I work with them to make payments so they can get their dog. So I'm an animal lover, I love dogs. We're not gonna put dogs down just because they have bad owners or whatever, we're gonna try to work to get them somewhere.
Steve, a lot of times is taking them back and put them in their own kennels, is in my experience. When I've
Right,
talked
or
to
Steve
about
knows
it.
whose dog it is.
He just takes it back and puts it in the
Yeah,
kennel.
he'll take the dog up there and get scanned by Katie Miller, and if it's chipped, he calls the people and he drops the dog off.
If a dog is picked up, they get chipped.
Yeah, that's part of the deal.
Now, the new law is, our new ordinance say, if your dog gets loose and the animal control officer picks him up, they get chipped. And the person has to pay for that. So the next time the dog gets picked up, it's chipped and they know who it belongs to.
Yeah, so.
Well, I guess what was happening before was a lot of those animals were being brought to town and dumped in here by unkind owners out in the country someplace.
Right, yes.
So they weren't local owners and stuff. So now you're telling me that now the found dogs all belong to somebody.
So far, yeah, since we've only had a couple of cases since I've been here 4 years, Kay, where the dogs were dumped or somebody didn't want to claim them. And we worked with the vet and Teresa does a really good job in front of the police department of getting those dogs adopted. I mean, she puts it on Facebook, she puts it on city websites and stuff like that. We're not putting dogs to sleep, I can tell you that.
Okay. Well, for old people like me who don't know what Facebook is, having it in the local newspaper, which I do understand, would be helpful.
Yep, and we can look at doing that, Kay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Let's start with Bill. Do you have any governing body?
No, Mayor, thank you though.
Okay. Nick?
One thing, one of the property, we've talked about this forever, Penny's Concretes. I've given some information, we talked about this when Steve Iverson was our city attorney about selling that property, and then, I don't remember why we stopped.
Didn't we put some bids out? So
No, we did
I
never,
thought
we
we were
never,
supposed
we
to do
never did
that.
that because we were waiting on Steve to do some legal stuff.
Okay.
And it never got done. So what I'd like to do is have Bill take care of that if you guys are still interested. And I don't know if you wanna wait until they do this housing study, because that may be an area they suggest that you build housing, or proceed and get rid of it.
It does,
Because it's-
I don't know
that's
where it really is. I mean, does
Well,
it
you
look
know
like it
where-
could be a housing development?
Well, you know where the Katy Depot is.
Mhm.
That property extends from the front of the Katy Depot all the way back through where Penny's Concrete is. That's all city property.
Which would not be a bad housing development area.
So, yeah, so, you know, it's one of two things. We either want to get rid of it or we want to wait and see what this housing study and this master plan look like.
Yeah, I'd say wait for the housing
I think
study
so.
because.
Because we do need the
Once
ground.
you turn loose of it, you can't, it's awful hard to get it
And it
back.
does have some infrastructure. There's water and power there and things like that.
And we're not, we're short on real estate as it is for housing, so.
I mean, part of me wants to get rid of it so it can be cleaned up.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I think there's some people that have talked to me that are interested in buying it.
Well, if we have,
But I don't
what do
know.
we need to do to, like if somebody came up to you tomorrow and said, I want to buy it, start a
Well,
development,
well,
what do
you
you
guys-
have to do? Does Bill need to do some work on it first?
Well, no, as far as a development,
Well, just to get the ground, so it's,
It'll be cleaned up either way.
cleaned, and it had to be cleaned up. There's a bunch of concrete piled back there,
okay.
old broken concrete. So it needs work, for sure. But I just didn't know, that's come up again that, you know, somebody was asking about it and I wanted to make sure. I'm good with selling it, but you guys need to make that decision. It's part of the property I submitted to Christie to look at as part of the grant. To send to, for that base grant in order to get the master plan and things like that, so. But, I mean, I don't know that it hurts to wait another month or two to
That's
see.
what
Yeah.
I think we ought to wait that's a reasonable length of time. We've gone this long and there may be a use for that none of us have even thought about.
Well, I know part of that, on that east side, is where that trail's supposed to go with that property. So that east side is where that extension, that drawing we have, that trail goes through there and things like that.
Like Safe Roads to School and all that, Safe Roads to School.
And the city already owns that property.
Well, this isn't the time you want to clean it up anyway, this weather.
Yeah. Well, and I think you'll,
It's gonna take quite an effort to clean it up. I mean, it's a mess. As far as all the concrete and stuff and where that's gonna get disposed of and so on. So-
Did Penny's just abandon it?
So I think that was already in the works when I took over. And Penny's didn't want to, they did a Brownsfield study on it to make sure there was no issues with the property. And Penny's only wanted to sell it to the city, and the city I think bought it for $1 from Penny's.
And the electric company was using it, or is that different?
The electric company's still using it. That was an agreement we made with them when we got some light poles and stuff out of it. I think Sean's company, when he worked for them, did some stuff for us as well, to store their stuff over there. So, but I'd rather have people moving over there and
Mm-hmm.
things like that, and it keeps people from going back there and doing things that they don't need to do.
Well, that's just been good.
well, and I think
Stewards and neighbors.
the potential sale or the potential buyer that you would see at this point would probably, there'd be somebody with the same interest down the road a couple months. But
Right, yeah.
if it doesn't come up in this development print plan, then you'd still be able to get.
Yeah, I'm fine either way. I mean,
Well, the housing study won't be actually available till mid-March, I mean, the final.
right, but
And so that's 30 days right there. If we wait 30, 60 days, it's not gonna make any difference.
yeah, okay.
Unless you really wanna sell it, I got $2. City would double their money.
That'd be a good deal for the city if it got cleaned up and back on tax roll.
It would be. That would be a pretty little housing area. Could be.
So, anyway, that's all I had.
That's all you have? Okay. Jason?
I don't have anything this week, Mayor.
Okay. Mark?
I had something to talk about in our meeting back here, but we ran out of time. Is it lawful for me to send an email to the same people that were in that meeting?
As long as you're not asking for a vote, right?
Yeah, that's correct, although, I don't know, what I would suggest you do is send it to the city administrator, and then he can
Send it to you.
appropriately get it out, so
That's
it's
fine.
all in compliance with the.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure I don't do something that's against the rules.
Yeah, what I'll probably do is just send it to each of you individually, that's that way everybody's not responding to the same email.
Okay.
And Bill could look at it if you're concerned about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can, anybody can email him or me or anyone other than on the council.
Okay,
So, but then the city administrator can, if he needs information, that.
and it may be something where you guys talk and then we just discuss some of it at the next meeting if it has any validity or anything.
Yeah, if you just want to send it to me and Bill.
I'll send it to you because I have your email unless you want to send me to his.
Well, I can forward it, I can forward it.
Yeah, it's fine.
So, okay.
Okay.
That whole Open Meetings Act can get kind of tricky. And that's- The general rule is that you can't communicate with a majority of a quorum. So a quorum here is what, 4, so the majority of that's 3. So if you communicate with all 6, you're.
Going to jail.
He can litigate out of that for years.
Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Keith?
I don't have anything, Mayor, thank you.
Okay. Vaughn?
I do not. I don't have anything this
Okay.
evening. Thank you, though.
I have nothing this
Larry?
evening, Mayor.
Okay. Sharon?
Well, the Santa Fe Trail Committee that's been working under the city and did all the projects and events last year are meeting, and we have one event set. We're going to do the gunfight on the Santa Fe Trail again, and it's going to be July 15th and 16th. And we've got some extra things we're adding to that, and so I'll keep you all informed, but that date's on the calendar.
Okay, so it's on the chamber calendar?
Mhm.
Good.
Well, I will make sure it is.
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah.
I'll
that-
let Deidre and Lindsay know those dates are taken
Mhm.
Okay.
for the park.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you. And also the Flint Hills Regional Council, we are in the process of interviewing candidates for a new executive director, so hopefully that will be in place and we'll be back moving again with that, so. We'll have a meeting this Friday.
And I got more things, maybe remind me of something.
The website?
No, the radio system for the scenic byway.
Mm-hmm.
So I got contacted from Heather, I think it's Heather Brown from Tallgrass Prairie Reserve,
Mm-hmm.
asking when we were gonna get that going again. And I explained to her I'd talked to Ken Clam probably in August or September. And he was working with the REA to put the system up there. And that's the last time I spoke to him because he said he would handle it from there. So I talked to her today. I also talked to Travis Swearinger with the REA. He's ready to go whenever Ken Clam wants to get up there and install it. He's doing it for free. He's reinstalling because his dad's the one who got that system going. So Heather's going to talk to Ken and get that taken care of and get that going again.
Great.
So she said the one up in Cassidy is going again. They just got it going today or yesterday. So just so people who are curious to where that's at, that's where that's at.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Sharon, do you have more? Okay. I do have a question about the Flint Hills Regional Council. If you would ask them, I believe that the page, I'm not sure.
Comp plan.
Our comp plan has always been online, linked through, and they have not renewed their page, and so we don't have a comp plan anymore up where
It's
people
not,
can
it's
view
not
it.
live.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I gave Deidre the number to try to contact them, but I don't know that she's had any luck.
So when you guys meet, if you would ask if
I'll check on it. I'll ask.
if they're planning to put it back up so we can put it up, or we need to get it up, or whatever, so people can see it.
On the regional council's webpage.
Yeah,
Well,
that's where it's
yeah,
always
so
been
That's
now.
why it's, okay.
Yeah, so we have it shared on the city website so people can review the city comp plan. So when you click on our link on our city website,
It's
it
there.
shows that it says that site no longer exists.
Gotcha.
So people can't read it right now, right?
No, it's not available.
Yeah, because because that page isn't up.
So I had
Maybe they
Megan, I
didn't
had
pay the
Megan
bill.
look into it a little bit, and they paid it in 2021, but they hadn't paid it for this year, which is why it's no longer up. So,
Okay.
And they probably don't realize,
Yeah.
possibly even realize unless somebody else has
Okay,
seen it.
I will check on it.
yeah, they don't have a director, so
Okay.
some things are probably.
So I had that, and then I also have, I noticed on, and I should have asked you before the meeting perhaps, but one of our appropriations was for boots.
That is the fire department boots that we approved.
Okay. I figured the
I
fire
had the
department.
same question, so,
It's a lot of boots.
yeah, I asked Meg, I said, boots for what? And she said, oh, that's fire department. I said, well, let's put fire department boots next time.
scooting.
I mean, as soon as I saw it, I thought, that's fire department probably, but I thought we should ask.
No, I asked when
Okay,
we were walking
thank
out of my
you.
office, that's why she was waiting on me.
Okay, so
Have we
these boots were made for walking.
updated the city website to put Sean on yet?
Took care of all that.
Good.
We met with Story Media last week, and we met with them this week to get everything kind of finalized and get the amphitheater site webpage to booking and all that stuff going. So that should be live hopefully by the end of the week, beginning of next week.
And we will bring back the fees and stuff and talk to you guys
Yeah.
about those. We've upped the fees a little bit and some different things, so.
Yep.
So, you know,
We just told, we're having a request from people to book it, and so we just wanted to get it available to book, and then we can adjust as we see fit with the fees. The fees are, we adjusted them, and I think they're within line with what we're charging,
Mhm.
so.
You know, we have other businesses in town with the new ballroom and with Sage and, you know, some of those, and we want to be in fair competition with them. I mean, we don't want to, shouldn't say competition, but you know what I mean. We don't want to undercut them or anything like that, so. Anyway, okay, anybody else have anything? Okay, I'd approve a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, Keith, second? Okay, Keith and Sharon, all opposed, all in favor? Carries, motion 6-0.